All right. Well, welcome to Organizational Behavior Management 125, right? My name is Rick Boone. It's so great to have you with me and in class this semester. For tonight, what I want to do is give you a little bit of background on me, just so you know where I'm coming from. And we'll go over the syllabus and kind of your next first steps, depending on how much you've been involved on Canvas this week. Since we're just kicking off this week. So I want to make sure that you have a clear expectation or a clear understanding of what's expected of you. If your goal is to get an A in the class, I want to help you get an A in the class. If your goal is to, take care of your family and work a full-time job and take 6 classes and pass, then I would love to help you get a C if you want. So whatever your goal is, I want to help you out there. Again, my name is Rick. I have only been teaching at IVC for a couple of years. I'm in my 6th or 7th year now. So teaching full time is kind of a later career for me. I've always been, working professional. I've been self-employed in some way since I was 18. When I was 18, that started as balloon animals and hats at restaurants and parties. And so I did that for several years as I went through college and didn't really have a clear picture of what I wanted to do. I started myself at a high school at Long Beach City College for a couple of years before transferring. And so I've been in your shoes. I've been in your shoes to try to get a degree. I've been in your shoes to just learn skills that I thought might help me. I started when I was in business, and when I got into real estate, which was in 2002, gosh, 20 years ago, getting old. I realized I was doing business every day and fumbling through and trying to figure out along the way. I'd never taken a business class. And so I went back and got my master's degree in business, which actually helped me learn a lot. And it really gave me some context behind of all the stuff I was struggling with in my business and in my work. And so during that time, I also started teaching part-time at nights at Orange Coast College, teaching real estate. And I realized that going into the office every day, I still enjoy real estate. I really enjoy the problem solving part of it. I actually enjoy contracts and that kind of thing. But I realized that I did not love the day in and day out of sales. And as I started teaching part-time, I realized that I just found it really fulfilling. And so I shifted gears and decided to dedicate myself to higher education. And it's been a huge blessing to land at Irvine Valley. Such a great community college, probably because I had such a good experience with my teachers in community college. That's why I think I ended up at a community college. But IVC has been awesome. It was only my second interview and second job application to teach. And it's been amazing. We have great staff, great services, great faculty at the college. Prior to teaching at IVC, I worked for 4 years as an administrator. I ran a campus, an open to campus for a 4-year university. And during that time, I started going back to school in their doctoral program. So I have a doctorate in organizational leadership, which is similar to organizational behavior. And my program focused on transformational change. So the idea that change is almost always difficult, especially in organizations and just within people, within ourselves, change is hard, right? And so it focused, a lot of the program focused on making meaningful change and change that sticks, how to guide and lead people through change. And so that for me was, I think my first class in org behavior was probably my master's of business program at Cal State Fullerton. And something clicked in there for me. I kind of thought, this is interesting stuff. Maybe it's because I grew up with 3 older sisters and I learned some of that stuff along the way, but I didn't know what I was learning. What's one of the lessons I learned as a young boy with 3 older sisters? You have to be careful about your tone and how you say things. Even if you have innocent motives, the way you say things can be taken the wrong way. And I don't think I've ever talked about this before. And so in emotional intelligence and understanding yourself and understanding the people you're talking to, if you want somebody to hear you and understand you, you also kind of have to know where they're coming from. You can't just try to communicate what you want to communicate. You have to pay attention to what other people are hearing. Maybe they're not hearing what you want to communicate. And so I loved the concept of emotional intelligence and understanding communication. And in org behavior, we cover that. You'll see in this class that I tried to pace it out pretty evenly. It is not scheduled to be like a busy class. That said, there are times when I also ask you to like evaluate yourself. I found that in business, a lot of what you try to do depends on how other people are seeing you, are seeing your company, or seeing your product, seeing your marketing. And I feel like that's one of the biggest parts of organizational behavior is the communication piece, how you relate to people, which especially in our growing technology, in our age of growing technology, that it's so important to connect to people. Because at the end of the day, we're all working, we're all people. And even if you're in a remote situation, you're still having to interact with coworkers and your boss and all that stuff. So I see this class as a very functional learning class. You're learning tools that you will be able to use in business that will help you in business. I teach this class, and I also teach business law, which is another very important aspect of business. Thank you so much. Understanding the laws and how you can function with business around those laws. And so, yeah, I hope this is a meaningful class for you. All of the projects that we do in the class, I created. So it's not like cookie cutter, like take stuff from the publisher and just read stuff. I do intend, if you've been in Canvas already, I don't have a ton of lecture videos in there yet. I just relatively recently started teaching this class. So I've started to build up things to make it a great class. And so I will be doing some video recordings of lectures during the class that will help improve that information in Canvas. So that's a little bit about me. Hopefully kind of picture a little bit of where I'm coming from, and really what I suggest for my students from my own experience, particularly my real estate students, is that even if you're in a scenario where you like don't like your job, or maybe you like this thing, but you know, you're not happy, you're not feeling fulfilled like I was feeling, find a niche that you can jump into that you will feel fulfilled in. And it might take you a long time to find that niche. I was, how old am I? 44, 6 years. So I was like 37, 38 when I found like my dream job. That's a long time to be working and working for myself and working for other people, that it took me a while to get here. But once you find that niche, like, it's such a great feeling. It's such a great experience to be working and have it be fulfilling. You're not hating, you know, going to work. All right, all the touchy feely stuff. Let me go ahead and pull up what I would like to do. Oh, thanks for that notice for the closed captioning. I will bring open first our Canvas shell. Let's start there. So I'm going to share a screen and walk through a couple things to make sure you know where to look and where to go. So here is, if you haven't used Canvas before, I always like to just start off at the college website. Up in the top right, you'll see some links. There's the Canvas link right there. So after you log into Canvas, mine's gonna look a little bit different, but I'll let's see if that works. I don't know why it's not saved on my computer. This is one of those great recordings where like nothing works, right? Okay, good. All right, let me turn on the student view so it's a little bit more close to what you'll see. So I tried over on the menu on the left, I tried to keep it super simple for you. And everything is already in here. Every assignment, every due date is all in here. So I have a hard copy syllabus that I just see is not linked here for some reason. I'll open it and show it to you though. That's weird. Where I really, so on this home page kind of defaults back to the syllabus page. So out of these 4 or 5 links, right, 2 of them are the same. Here's every assignment that we'll be doing by date. And then I'll show you kind of on the syllabus. I have it like all on a 1 page. to kind of give you the picture, the whole picture of the semester on one page. Announcements. If you haven't set these up yet, Canvas, one of the great things is that they allow you to control how you get the information. So in the settings in Canvas, you can control when you get announcements, when you get grade changes and all that stuff. So if you haven't done it yet under your account, you can set up your notifications right here. And you can go through the check boxes when you want to get it, if you want to get it via text or via email. So you have control over that. The announcements here, you can see that these are the announcements that you should have already gotten. This is going to be a really important tab on the modules tab. And this gives you a week by week walkthrough. You'll see I already had a syllabus review in here. If you were like all amped up and wanted to learn something, if you watched one of these, it's just from a previous semester. And so that gave you an idea of what you're going to be doing in the class. This video that I'm recording right now, I will replace on this page. But you'll see week by week, I have spelled out exactly for you what you need to do. Notice that the discussion boards are due every Thursday for your initial post. And then by Sunday, you have to respond to 2 classmates. In these discussions, I had to do discussions at different points in my own education. I didn't always love them. So I try to be very purposeful in these discussions where I'm asking you questions that are like relative and real. So it's discussing something that's in the chapter. Week 1's an easy one. But in chapter 2, I'm asking you about a concept that's in chapter 2, but I'm asking you to form your own opinion about this question. There's no right or wrong answers here. So all I'm asking you to do is answer the question and then back it up with some support. Like, yes, I believe this because, and then you answer the because part. I'm asking for like 3 to 4 sentences on your posts. So it's not crazy, but it is designed for you to interact with other students in the class. I do pop in there. I will make comments here and there, but for the most part, these are discussions that you're going to be having with your classmates about the topics. And then where I can bring in my stuff is with more of the lecture videos. And when I can get more of those posted, you'll see them posted in here. I do have some in here, but it's not every week right now. I'll be working on that. If you've never used McGraw-Hill Connect, if you're taking business classes at IVC, you probably have used it. But if you haven't, I suggest you watch this Smart Book orientation. I give you points just for reading the chapter. So I built out the grading in this class, kind of like business. When you show up and you get your work done, you're gonna do okay. Like so much of business is just showing up and getting your stuff done. So when you do the chapter reading, I'm actually getting you points to do the reading. This Smart Book orientation describes how this system is tracking or gives you points for that reading. So if you've never done this before, if you've never done the Smart Book inside McGraw-Hill Connect, all of the names, please watch the orientation. This link will take you into that system. When you buy the book, if you haven't bought it yet, or if you bought an access code through the bookstore potentially, you're going to be accessing it through this link first. And once you do that one time, once you connect Canvas to Connect, and they're linked on there, then you can either go directly into Connect and your points will pull into Canvas, or you can use these links and it'll take you directly to the assignments as well if you're actually using your laptop or your smartphone or tablet or whatever you got. I'm also giving you points for doing your quiz for every chapter. You can take this quiz as many times as you want. It's unlimited. So if your goal is to get an A in this class, you can take this quiz a couple times to get those full points. Again, showing up, getting your work done. This way, as we go through, you'll kind of see this typical layout. When you get to an exam, and maybe you have a bad day, or you didn't have time to study because you were too busy or something like that, it's the work that you do week in and week out in this class that's really going to help you offset like a bad test grade or something. So I'll show you how the points lay out and all that stuff in a few minutes here. But I wanted you to get eyes on kind of Canvas so you get used to clicking around a little bit in here. Week 2 is one of the few weeks where we actually cover 2 chapters in the week. So you can see for the most part, we're just covering 1 chapter each week. Of course, there's grades, and with the Connect with SmartBook and I'm sorry, with Connect and Canvas talking to each other here, you'll be seeing your points calculate, or here, sorry, underscores. The discussion boards, I try to grade really quickly, especially in this week 1. If you haven't posted in there yet, please do so. And that's like kind of the more of, you know, me kind of manually going in. When you look at those discussions though, and I'll open one up, you'll see that I have a rubric in there. So again, if your goal is to get an A and get the highest points, I'm showing you how to get those points. It's kind of a mix between quality and quantity. If in the discussion you're like, hey, what's up? Great idea. And then you walk away from somebody. Like, it's not a very quality conversation, right? So there's kind of a quantity. Like I give you the guide of like 3 to 4 sentences, but what I'm really asking you for is the quality. I'm just trying to give you a guideline of the amount, if that makes sense on the discussions. So that rubric is there to help kind of guide you in your writing, so that again, the first one is just basic. I'm just looking to kind of introduce yourself and kind of talk about why you're here and what you want to do. Here's the rubric. So I'm kind of the mindset, if you're getting like 100 or 90, you're missing a point, right? That's still an A. The rubric is really there to kind of give you some guidance too after I grade that first week, so that you can know how to fix it up for the next week. Again, to try to maximize your points there. So the chapter reading, the chapter quiz, the discussion boards, those are going to be very consistent pretty much every week, except for 2. And I think at this point, I'll go ahead and open up the syllabus, which again, it will be linked here. I'm not sure why that link is dead, but I'll open it here for you so that we can look over that together. Yeah, if there's a question, feel free to go ahead and unmute.
Oh, thank you. So I was wondering, when I checked the rubric, it says that we would have to give evidence and provide some sort of evidence from possibly the text. But when I take a look at the particular questions for this beginning chapter, I'm kind of confused on that, because I mean,
yeah, for the week, don't worry about that for week 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Week 1 is really about just to kind of get to know you. And once I kind of typed in that standard, I probably just copy and pasted it. So I'll probably just take it out. It shouldn't be there for for the week 1. Yeah, week 1, we're just kind of getting used to it. I'll say it now and I'll say it again towards the end. The week 1 priority, get into Canvas. I have to see that you're in there and active, that you have, you know, minutes in there. And that's like showing up to class. Otherwise, I have to consider you a no-show. So getting into Canvas is top priority. The second step is getting into the McGraw-Hill system. We do have chapter 1, you see on screen right now. We do have chapter 1 due this week. And so try not to get behind in week 1. Again, it's not brain surgery, right? It's not hard, but it does take some time. Get in there, get access, and start doing some reading. So this is kind of our one-shot page. You'll see that, again, chapter 1, chapters 2 and 3, chapter 4. This week number 4, we actually don't have a chapter. We still have a discussion board, but I actually created a project. There's 2 different projects in the class, and they are meant to take kind of the chapters that you've just learned about and to reflect a little bit. And so the different questions that I have in there are asking you to take those concepts. I'm giving you kind of a to-do list, if you will, but you're writing, it's kind of more of like a reflective paper. Again, no wrong answers here. I'm asking you about you in these situations. So it just really comes down to the fact of, you know, are you understanding the concepts? Are you personalizing them? Like, is it making sense to you, and how do they reflect in your life? Here's another 2-week chapter. So pretty much everything is a Monday to Sunday, kind of a 1-week window, except for the discussion board. That first discussion board post due on Thursdays. For the most part, you have a week to do everything. With that, so I give you a lot of flexibility in that week, but when we go on to the next week for discussions, for example, the whole class is on a different discussion. So if you come and you're like, oh, I didn't get the discussion done last week, can I turn in late? Well, it doesn't really do you much good if you're sitting in a room talking by yourself, right? Or talking to yourself by yourself. So I'm a little bit more strict on the late work, but I'm giving you basically a week by week window to get the work done. So if something crazy comes up, you get hospitalized, or especially these days, I got COVID last month, so I know what it feels like. It's horrible. I was down for like 2 weeks. If something crazy happens, reach out to me. I don't want to come off so strict or so stern that you feel like you can't talk to me. Please talk to me. Come to my office hours, send me an email if something comes up. But for the most part, this is our schedule. Again, all of these are shown are placed, are scheduled in Canvas already. So you can see them here on the syllabus or in Canvas. I'm going to go backwards in the syllabus a little bit here. This is the last page where kind of everything is in one shot. It just kind of gives us a schedule basically for the class. But I'll go ahead and discuss the points a little bit too. So you'll see, again, I mentioned this already, but the work that you're doing week in and week out, here's your quizzes, here's your reading assignments, here's your discussions. Those you have total control over, right? You put in the time, you can take the quizzes over and over again, get the reading done, do the discussions. You can see 20, 40, that's 60% of your grade is that week in and week out work. The projects, again, I give you a full week to do those projects, and they're not built to be hard. They do take some time, but they're not built to be hard. And so, and I give you a week. So instead of you reading, you're going to be doing other things outside of the book. You'll be looking up. I have you do like kind of a self-evaluation in one of them, and I have you do different things. And then again, you're kind of reflecting on yourself in those projects. And then the exams. I personally just kind of feel like exams are just a part of life. Like you show up to work and somebody's like, oh, hey, Rick, what'd you learn from that thing you did last week? And you're like, you're going to come up with an answer, right? So I feel like kind of that ongoing understanding and being able to recollect things that you're working on. I feel like there's an importance to that. So I do still have exams, but I know that there's a lot of people that hate exams or have test anxiety, and especially with people that now we've been remote for some time. So I try to offset those potential snafus or bad connectivity or stressful week or whatever that is. I try to offset that with this point structure so that, you know, if you have one bad test, that's not going to totally mess up your grade in and of itself. If you're doing all the other work and you're showing up and getting it done, that the exams in essence have less weight in your total grade. Hope that makes sense. So on this page, a little bit like I've just described with the exams, the discussions, and the projects. Again, just kind of putting the stuff that you're reading about and learning about, putting it in real life perspective. And then the quizzes and reading. Again, my little note there. One of the things I also have seen with students, maybe there's a bad week, something's going on. I've seen students time and time again try to get caught up. And it's like you want to work on the old stuff first, the past due stuff, but then you're late on the current week. And it's almost like it creates this like snowball effect where you can just never catch up. So again, with the week in and week out work being the most of your points, you know, again, having a bad week and missing one reading chapter or missing one quiz in and of itself is not going to dictate your grade. And so if there is a bad week in there, you miss an assignment, that's not going to, you know, it's not going to mess you up in the big picture. The percentages I spelled out here, this is IVC's standard, not me. I do like, though, that we don't have pluses and minuses. So basically, very round numbers. At the end of the semester, everything is calculated. You do that reading, you do the quiz. At the end of the semester, you can see in Canvas what your points are, and you can track along the way, obviously. And, you know, you get an 88% at that final total column in Canvas, your grade's going to be a B. So as far as grades go, I love the fact that I'm hands off in some sense. Of course, I'm grading your projects and your discussions, and I'm helping you out along the way. But at the end of the day, it's not a matter of, you know, whether I like you or not, or, you know, whether you're asking me a ton of questions or no questions. If you're getting the work done and you're getting it and you're understanding it and you're doing the work, like, that's great. again, I want to help you hit your goals here. So all of that percentage is pretty much those grading points are worked in along the way. Again, you can see all of that in Canvas. Yeah, Diana, go ahead.
By chance, will there be a study guide that would map out the most important, key topics that we would need to potentially know for the exam? Since I mean, the exams are like pretty long, like chapters, right?
Great question. So I don't do study guides, and sorry for the fast scrolling here. So here's exam 1. It covers chapters 1 through 7, and pretty much the same so about 7 chapters for each exam. The topics that I focus in on when I'm pulling questions for exams is not just like the whole chapter, but I would say topics that I would cover in a recorded lecture, or topics that I would cover in a discussion board, or some of the high points that I have you working on, kind of the key areas that I have you doing in the projects. Those are kind of the concepts that would be most important for the exams. So I do select questions. So there's the book, right? The book has its own questions and stuff like that. It's not completely random. Like, I actually do select the questions. And so I select questions too. If I'm reading them and I'm like, what are they asking me? I don't put that question in there. I don't build my exams to be difficult. I build them as a review. And so I'm pulling out some of those high points again from discussions or lectures or from the projects to give you a kind of an overall idea of kind of focus. The exam itself, though, I do usually create pools for each chapter. And then, so every student is getting a different test in a sense. It's going to be randomly pulling from those pools. And then there are also times. And so, those are just some of the deterrents that I have at my fingertips to try to stop people from cheating at the end of the day, to be honest. I don't do proctorio. I've had heard a lot of challenging things with that system. So you have a 3-day window to get those exams done. So you get to, pick your time, but once you start it, it's timed. Hopefully that answers your question a little bit on as far as studying or prepping from now, week 1, right? Prepping for that week 7 exam. So sorry for the quick scrolling here again. IVC, I mentioned it a little bit at the beginning, but IVC has some awesome support services in place. The Office of DSPS is an amazing resource if you're having, sort of any challenges in your learning. If there's a link here that doesn't help you, or if you're in a situation where you need something, I want to be able to help you or point you in the right direction. And so if you're having challenges, let me know, reach out. I'm telling you, our campus is pretty amazing with the services and help that we have for our students. So if you don't have a computer to use, we have loaner computers at the library right now that you can check out. Laptops and Chromebooks, I think they have. So especially in the last couple of years, right, that just looks even more broad as far as the support services that are in place. Email communications, emails is fastest for me. Some of this is, I mean, you read this and you're like, okay, I know how to write an email, Rick. But really it's about just getting in contact. You're always welcome to come to my office hours. I'm sitting in a Zoom room, oftentimes by myself for my office hours. You're always welcome to pop into that if you have a question. If those times don't work for you, and I'll show you those times in a minute, if the times don't work for you, send me an email and say, hey, I can't make the office hour. Can you chat tonight at 6 o'clock? And chances are I can schedule with something, with you, we can touch base. If you want a quick question, it's 2 a.m. and something's confusing you, send me a quick email and I'll tell you, I say 24 to 48 hours in here. If any of you have emailed me yet, I'm usually pretty quick to reply. And so I've been self-employed in some ways for my whole adult life. So that's an important, communication is an important thing, right? I'm usually the quickest to reply by email if you need to get something quickly. But I'm happy to sit and chat if you want to chat about stuff too. This page talks about basically the two systems I've already mentioned, Canvas being one, and then McGraw-Hill Connect. If you want to just use Canvas as your main connection point, then you can click into McGraw-Hill for your reading and your quizzes. Those links are here. Tech support is here. And again, I'll make sure this is linked properly on that first page so you can pull this up if you want to. Guidelines, be professional, do your own work, don't cheat. If you want to get a hard copy textbook, I realize some students still like to have that hard copy, you know, hold a page. I prefer to read from a paper than I do my screen. And so if you want that, that's great. IVC does have a code, or I'm sorry, it's like a package. You buy it and they give you a loose leaf book, so it's cheaper. It's the pages, the chapters that pull out from this book. And then they give you a code for the online access. You would use that again using that same Canvas link. So if you want to, you can obviously purchase that as well, or if you're going to buy an old used book somewhere and still hold on. I think they might have just re-upped this edition. So there might not be very many used hard copy ones, but to be honest with you, there's probably not a ton that has changed. This book does a pretty good job, actually. So I would imagine that maybe they change up some of the business examples and that kind of thing. But most of the reading, again, you're going to be getting points for doing the reading online as well. But if you really prefer to have that hard copy in hand as well, that's an option for you. There's a couple more links here for some resources. As a student of IVC, you do have access to Office 365. It's online. So if you don't have Word, or if you know a Mac, Pages or whatever that you're using, the online Microsoft applications are online there for you as a student too. Sorry, I'm just looking back over the chat real quick. Will exams be a particular hour? Oh, good question. So I think I've already mentioned this, but just to be super clear from the chat. So the exams, you have a three-day window to get that done. So it's not at a particular hour, it's anytime during that window. But again, once you start it, it's timed. Thanks for raising your hand there, Dana. I did not have the chat window open. Where can you find the syllabus? I'll show you one more time for the syllabus, for this document that we're looking at now. I'll show you where it will be. Oh, thanks. You guys are already answering their own questions. You're awesome. Yeah, I've actually had students talk about the reading. I've actually had students come back and say, having that smart book is kind of cool. It just kind of gives a little bit of interactivity. And so you're not just reading all words on a page. They break it up. They're asking you questions about what you're reading. It's just a more interactive way to read. Cool. Drop policy. So I learned this early on. I thought it'd be really cool after my bachelor's degree to go to OCC to learn how to weld. I just thought, you know, it'd be cool to learn how to stick two pieces of metal together. And I was working and was newly married and was like, yeah, this would be awesome. Learn to weld. But then I got busy really quick. And so like after the third or fourth week, I just stopped showing up. And I was like, oh yeah, the teacher's going to drop me, right? I'm not there anymore. Then I went to go get my master's and put in my application, and they're like, what's this F doing for welding at Orange Coast College? And I'm like, what? I got an F? I stopped showing up. So here's the deal. Once you're in class and I see that you're here, and fast forward 15 weeks from now, if your name is on the roster at the end of the semester, I have to give you a letter grade. There's no option for me. So I look in Canvas and I look at the total column. And what does it say? It says 20%. Well, that's an F. So if you're in a position where you are just like, you can't do it anymore, and you're going to stop doing all work and stop showing up, if you will, first, let's talk. If you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling like you can't come back from the depths, send me an email. We can chat. Sometimes I feel like people feel that way when it's really not as bad quite as they might think it is. But at the end of the day, it's your responsibility to drop. So after you log in, after you're in there and you're taking the class, it's on you to drop the class if you're going to stop showing up. We're online, no surprise for you. Student learning outcomes for the course. This is all kind of behind the scenes on the purpose of the course and the description. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I wasn't the best student when I was younger, but as I got older and I found purpose behind what I wanted to learn, it meant so much more to me as an adult learner. And so I hope when taking this information, like it's helpful for you. I really want it to be helpful for you. From my experience learning this stuff in the business world, most people don't go and try to learn this stuff. They just go and work hard, and some people get promoted, and then you'll have a manager, and you're like, you're a manager. Why are you treating your employees so horribly? Well, they never took a class. They didn't learn how to be a manager. So this is one of those classes I feel like can really help you in your professional life. Some information on the class. I put asterisks on these dates. I do check them, but just so you know, like I make mistakes. I'm human. So some of the drop dates and the important dates for the class. This is a little bit shorter because we're starting late. Excuse me. So a little bit shorter, 15 weeks. So we go through and finish with the normal semester. Here's my contact information. You can call me, but this is my office number. And so I get like an email of your voicemail, and then I'll have to call you back. Usually again, I'm kind of up late usually. So if you send me an email at like, 10, 11, 12, like I'm going to email you faster than I'm going to be able to call you back. So not to push that too much, but I'm available mostly by email would be the fastest. Here are those office hours I was talking about. I'm sitting in a Zoom room, like sitting there. So feel free to come in or log in during these times, and if you need anything. I'll show you where that somebody asked about where this syllabus will live, and then I'll also show you the link for those office hours. We'll move back over to Canvas. Oh, I'm reading some of the chat here. Yeah, so the reading interactive part, cool. More Zoom meetings. So here's what I would like to do for the Zoom meetings. And I just wanted to be straight up with you all. Ideally for me, I want to have a lecture in there every week for every chapter. It's not there now. So what I can try to do, since some of you might like to have more frequent Zooms, is try to set up a semi-regular thing. It's not going to be required, but I'll be recording them and do some lecture videos to try to fill out some of those extra weeks. So I will let you all know when I might be able to do that. But I know I can schedule one for next week. I'm trying to think. I usually try to do them like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday type nights, and usually about 7 o'clock because I get to eat dinner and my kids are going to bed. And hopefully for you all, you're done with work or done with classes, and you get some food in you and hop online. I'll let you know about that in the announcements. I'll send something out. The syllabus link will live right here. You can see it says syllabus and it's bolded, but the link isn't there. So I'll go in and fix that right when we get done tonight. So that'll be fixed really quickly. What was the other question? Yeah, I get that. I'm kind of an interactive learner as well. But I'll tell you what, though, if participating in the discussions, we'll kind of give that as well. It's not quite live, but there is at least an interactive piece to there. And then the projects are set up individually, right? So it's not like a team. The second project is on Teams, but it's not a team project. You're doing it by yourself. But I'm trying to think if there's other ways where I can, give opportunity for that. But additional Zoom meetings, we can definitely do that for sure. And when those lectures do come up, when I can post those, again, I'll just put them in the modules for that chapter. So moving forward, we can track it that way. I know I have a couple, it's just the early ones. Yeah, like here's one for chapter 8, chapter 9, chapter 10. So usually my lectures too are Zoom. I do share screen. When I'm teaching in a classroom, and I've kind of developed that now for online stuff, on iPad, I do notes as well. So you can see it and hear it and write it yourself, and all those different ways that you can take in information and learn that way. There was another reason I wanted to show you here. but I lost it. So any questions regarding Canvas right now, what we're looking at on screen, how to get around in there? Again, I left this super basic on purpose, and I built out the modules in every assignment in there to make sure you have everything available to you from the start. Any questions on the syllabus? Oh, that's interesting. Your classes start in March here at IVC?
Yes, I was actually in awe to find out that my classes begin in the middle of March. I was signed up and I said, wait, why aren't my classes starting? And then one of my other business classes, he said, we're starting this week. And I was like, oh, yes. And then all of a sudden I get an email, no, we start in March. What? So I have to wait till March. And then I got this email in the middle of the night from you, and I said, wow, I'm starting one of my classes. Thank goodness. So
Awesome.
We do.
I can say the School of Business is awesome too. We have some amazing faculty in our School of Business. And there's a lot of diversity and experience and all that stuff that comes from the different teachers. I didn't realize we had so many that were starting late though. That's pretty interesting. Very cool. Well, am I gonna cut it short? We're 45 minutes in right now. All right, so I'll just recap real quick. Here's what you got to do this week. Get into Canvas. The discussion board, again, right here, week 1 discussion, introduce yourself. I'm just asking you to introduce yourself. So it's not, again, not meant to be difficult. Participate in discussion 1, and please get into McGraw-Hill Connect. Oh, McGraw-Hill Connect. If you can't pay for it this week, if you're like, oh my gosh, I can't afford another book, this access is actually pretty inexpensive from what I've seen in business books. I want to say it's like $50 or something. They also, if you can't pay for it right now, they have a 2-week trial. So I love this feature because it gives you like no excuse to not get in there and get going. So what happens is you go in here and you can click on 2-week trial instead of paying, and you have access to the content for 2 weeks. It gives you a window there. It saves your work. So when it comes time to expire and you pay at that point, all of your work is going to be saved. It's already going to be connected to your Canvas page here. Your points should already be coming over. So Canvas discussion, week 1 discussion, and get into McGraw-Hill and get going on that chapter 1 work. Any other questions? No? All right, well, I'm gonna stop recording, and then if there's any other questions and you just don't want to be recorded, we can answer those too. Thanks again for coming.